Yeah. I live in Waterford, so I'd had to travel to Dublin to have an amniocentesis done and to have a scan done. So the amnio was done in Hollis Street after a scan, and they send the results to the UK, I think, or send the sample to the UK, and then the results are faxed back. And my results were delayed. I was supposed to get them on a Friday, and I had to wait the weekend and get them on a Monday because the fax machine in the lab in Scotland broke. So rather than, I think the term was, dragging us up and down to Dublin, they said they'd give us a call. And the fabulous midwife in Hollis Street rang and gave us the news. And then she said, look, I'm going to leave it for a few minutes and I'll give you a call back then and we'll see what we'll do. And when she called back then, she said, would you like to come in and speak to us again? And I said, absolutely, yeah, I want to go back and I want to know what's going on. So we drove back up to Hollis Street the next morning, found childcare for the kids, headed back up. We had about 20 minutes, half an hour with the fetal medicine specialist there, and he was very kind, and he was just honest. He was just very honest. Your baby's going to die. He repeated that, so he didn't give us any false hope. But when I said, what do I do? He started saying, well, some people find work as a nice distraction. You might go back to work. And I was saying, I can't go back. I can't go back to work. I was massive. I had a huge bump. Later we found out that was because Alex didn't have a mouth or stomach, so she wasn't swallowing the amniotic fluid. So my bump grew and grew and grew. And I couldn't face that. And then they said, right, well, we're not going to keep dragging you up and down, and there's nothing we can do for you here, so we're going to relay you back to your team in Waterford. I had been with the Domino's midwives. I don't know if you do. They look after you, but on a kind of a light touch, very little intervention. And when I got back, I rang them and said, what do I do now? And they said, we can't look after you because this is no longer a simple low-risk pregnancy. So they said, we'll refer you on to somebody else. So at that point, the doctors in Dublin were supposed to be referring me back to a doctor in Waterford, and the Domino's team were also supposed to be referring me on, and it seemed it just kind of got lost. I didn't get an appointment or a phone call or anything, so I was kind of just left. So I went to my GP and said, what do I do? So at this point, there was 3 people I'd asked, what am I meant to do? What do I do? And eventually then I got an appointment with the consultant in Waterford, and he saw me, and I went in. I had a funny turn when I went in to that waiting room again with lots of pregnant women, but luckily another amazing midwife came tearing out and dragged me into the corridor. So she said, I don't want you to have to sit out there, I was waiting for you all day. And then I had another scan and said, come back in 5 weeks. So that's what happens. You go in, you're scanned, they check your blood pressure, and they send you home.
Thank you.